Good morning guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's Vlogmas video. Ooh, already off to a good start. It's the first video of the day. Unique New York. Unique. This does not bode well. So for today's video, I want to do a video about something that I'm very passionate about. I travel a lot. You know this, I know this, everyone knows this, my mom's hairdresser knows this. I travel a lot. What I hear from a lot of people is, how do you afford to travel? I couldn't do it, it's so expensive. Everyone can afford to travel. So in this video I wanted to go through all of my top tips for saving money and making travel affordable for you, because yes, you can go traveling. Everyone should. So I'm going to structure this video into two ways. I'm going to structure all the things you can do at home to save money so that you can get to your destination, and then I'm going to tell you all the things you can do at your destination that you can save money. Okay? So firstly, this is an obvious one, and I'm sure you've read it on every single site you've looked at. Do you buy lunch every day for work, or do you cook your own? Because cooking your own is a lot cheaper and healthier as well. So two birds, one stone. Bring your lunch today, every day. So if you think you spend $10 a day, which is a pretty cheap lunch with a drink, every day for work, that's $50 a week at least. $200 a month, that's a lot of money. Cook your own food and bring it to work, then you'll cut down a lot. It'll cost maybe $1 or $2 depending on what you're bringing. Number two, something I'm passionate about, where you're shopping. Now this is going to be difficult because we're all in different countries. So for Australia, Woolworths and Coles are the two most expensive supermarkets. There are budget supermarkets like Aldi, which I know is in the UK as well. I shop at Aldi every week. My shopping for two people is $30 a week of food. A week. That's 3 days of you taking lunch to work. And that's all breakfast, lunch and dinner for every 7 days a week, sometimes more, and snacks, and sometimes more people if we're entertaining. So I find a lot of people tend to go shopping where their parents shopped because that makes sense, but if you're in the UK, don't shop at Waitrose, find an Aldi, find a Tesco, find a cheaper option. If you're in the US, I don't know what your expensive supermarket is, but go to Walmart. I just know Walmart's the cheap one. But you can save so much money just by buying your stuff there, and it's the same stuff, it's the same brands. Or if it's not, it's just a vegetable, it's all the same. It's probably coming from the same farm. Just, that's a massive one, because that can add up a lot to your costs. Next tip is that, do you have Netflix, Stan, HBO, any streaming service? Odds are you do, and I'm not saying to get rid of it, so don't worry, you don't have to click off, but what I suggest you do and what I've done is I have upgraded my plan. So I was on the basic plan, so one screen, blah blah blah, for Netflix, and then I upgraded it to the two. So you're thinking, you're spending more money. But then I halved the cost with my parents, so my parents pay half and I pay half. So I think it was $10 for the month for me to get Netflix, for Daniel and I. So that was for one screen, and then we upgraded it for the two screen option, the middle tier, and I think that was $12 for two people. And so then I halved that with my parents, because you can watch two screens at the same time, which is when we always watch it together anyway. And then we split it, and it comes down to $6 a month, so we're saving 40%, which, like I said, every little thing adds up. So we're saving almost half by doing that. So if you do that across multiple streaming services, get your friends on board, and you can even like add more, go to the highest tier and split it as many ways as you can. That's the cheapest way to do it. So it's a big tip that not a lot of people know. Get a roommate. Do you have a house or an apartment with a spare room? Rent it out. You can either get a lease signed and make it more official, or you can just Airbnb it. That's $100 a week or $100 a night if it's Airbnb, depending on where you live, coming in. Getting a roommate in for a short amount of time would pay for your entire trip's accommodation. Depending how long your trip is, 2 weeks could be enough to pay your entire trip's accommodation. Another tip, which is similar to not buying lunch every day, is don't buy coffee every day. So coffee in Australia will cost you about $5 a day. That's $25 a week just on coffee. Like, you don't need to spend that. Make your own coffee at home if you want to. Daniel has a French, I don't like coffee, but Daniel has a French press, and he just like presses his own beans in the morning and makes like 2 cups, which is significantly cheaper than getting a barista to make it for you. So, or you can invest in an espresso machine, but I don't know if that's essentially saving money. Well, you would in the long run, but not in the short term. That won't get you traveling. The last tip in terms of saving money to go travelling is obviously don't buy anything additional. So no clothes, bags, shoes, anything fashion that you don't need. Or even don't go to the cinema. This is a lot of the stuff I've done in the past. I don't really buy that many clothes because I'd rather save my money and buy it when I'm travelling. So recently I was in London and I bought a bunch of shoes and clothes. A lot of it was on travel insurance, but now those clothes and shoes remind me of my trip when I would have bought them anyway, but now it's a souvenir and it's sentimental. So if after hearing all these changes you're still thinking that's not enough, what I want you to do is to go through your bank account and look at everything that's outgoing and put it into two categories, a need and a want. Need is, you know, food, electricity, water. Want is entertainment, movies, shopping, whatever you... And see from that list if you can save $58 a week or $60 a week. After a year to year and a half, you'll have saved $3,000, which is more than enough to go on a holiday somewhere. Particularly if you're in the US and you're going to Mexico, Australia, going to Bali, England, going to Spain. There's lots of close by hot locations that you do not need a lot of money for. Okay, so part 2 of the video is how to save money when you're traveling. Number one thing I like to do is book your flights super far in advance. The more advanced you can get. So I say the further you're going, the further you should book out. So for me to fly to London, that's almost the other side of the world, so I would book 9 months in advance, easy. The second the deals come out, I can get a good price, I can lock it away. You don't want to leave it to the last minute, because when you leave it to the last minute the prices go up. I have been caught out before. I ended up paying I think $3,000 for Thailand, which was way too much money when it cost me $2,000 to get to London, and Thailand is a lot closer to me. If you're not going somewhere as far, you can buy less closer to the date, but the further out you can go, the better in general. But also make sure that the flights are available. Sometimes if you go too far out, they haven't actually listed the flights for that time yet, so I've done that also. When you have your plans, buy all your tickets online before you go. That does kind of commit you to an itinerary and does make it a little bit less flexible, but overall I think you generally save more money because there's normally online discounts, early bird sales, all sorts of things. You can get 20% off if you buy online rather than at the gate. And you don't have to line up, which, trust me, when you're in your like 16th museum, you don't want to line up anymore. You get to bypass all the queues and you get to look at them all when you walk past and just smirk and be like, ha, I was organised. I didn't have to line up with you peasants. When looking at accommodation, this is something I didn't realise until a few years into my travels. You don't have to book a hotel. I know people look at hotels or look at motels, they're fine. And then the other side of the spectrum is Airbnb, and I know a lot of people get quite hesitant about using Airbnb. I've always had good experiences with it. I like it because I can have a kitchen, I can cook with it, and I do have a link below where you can get $40 off your first stint on a Airbnb. However, another solution is to go on a hostel. I was scared of hostels at first because I didn't want to stay with strangers, I was scared of being robbed or raped or anything. Or alternatively, I was just traveling with a partner, so I was like, oh, I don't want to sleep in a bunk bed. I'd like share a bed with my partner or share a room with my friends. Did you know that hostels have private rooms with private bathrooms for so much cheaper? So in my mind, it's as good as a hotel because you get your room that's private, you get a private bathroom. That's all I really want in a hotel. I don't necessarily need a turn down service, I don't need a gym, I'm never going to use it. I don't need a pool, I'm never going to use it, I'm going to be out sightseeing. And so with hostels I like them because you can choose your tiers. You can choose to be like me and a recluse and be like private room, private bathroom, no one talk to me. Or you can be like mixed dorm, or you can be private dorm, or you can say private room with shared bathroom. I've done that one before. There's lots of different tiered options and they're all generally for less than $100 a night, so you'd be silly not to do that one. It's honestly such a great cost saving tool because if you can save on accommodation, your whole overall costs for the trip go down. So far I've told you how to save on accommodation, I've told you how to get your flights cheap, and I've told you how to get your attractions cheap. Next one is how to get your money out cheaper. So I know a lot of people and parents, I know they're the main ones that will be like, go out and get all your cash before you fly. Don't do that, don't do that. That's how you get ripped off. If you need to, if it's a cashless place, get a little bit out just to get out of the airport, get a cat taxi or something, but get the bulk of your money out of an ATM when you're there. When you're getting it out of an ATM, you can pick the amount you need, and you generally get a better exchange rate because no one's taking a cut. Where currency exchange places, someone's taking a cut constantly. So they add a little bit, which can add up over a few $100 to $1,000 depending on your budgets. So definitely wait till you get there to get cash out. Now, if you want to go drinking, I'm not a big drinker, partier, but I understand that is a huge part of how a lot of people travel. The best thing I can do is budget that into your travels. Look at how much a drink costs per night and then add up, or even just set yourself a budget. Say I want to spend $30 on drinks tonight and take out only $30. Don't take a card, don't take anything. Take only your $30 or maybe $10 to get back to the hotel, and then that's it. And then you can't blow your budget drinking because, you know, you can't trust drunk you. Now, if you're worried about doing the maths and it's a lot of adding up and the calculations and you're like, I can't think of everything, I'm going to miss something, what I do recommend is that you can do a tour. So a tour is done through a company like Contiki, Top Deck, On The Go, Intrepid. So what this is that you pay a flat rate, depending on how long it is, it varies drastically. And then that includes your accommodation, your food, your activities, some of the activities, and most transport. They'll tell you everything laid out on the site, but it's a good way to know your flat rate. So you know, except it doesn't include flights, but you'll know my entire holiday will cost $1,000, $1,500 for 5 days, and plus my airfares, that's $2,000. And you know straight up, you don't have to worry about, oh, what if my dinner's more expensive, I spend more on food, this attraction's not what I thought it was. There's little room for error, which is always good, and I do recommend that for your first trip as well, is it makes it a lot less stressful. I've done tours before in the past and it is foolproof. They pick you up and drop you off and take you places so you see and you can travel, and there's not a lot of risk in any sense of the word. My last and final tip is that when you're traveling, a lot of people want data for their mobile phones so that they can use the internet. I generally don't do that. I've only done it a handful of times, and that was because I needed it for a GPS. Generally, Wi-Fi is everywhere in the world. This depends where you go. I know Central and South America can be a little bit more dodgy, but even if you get a SIM card, like there's no guarantee with that either. So just be aware of that. I literally, when I go to somewhere like Europe or America that's more built up, I just go to cafes and use their internet when I need it. And you can use Google Maps. So what you do is when you're in your hotel, you say, I want to see the Mona Lisa, or whatever it is. And you type it in and you hit start. Or not even, you don't even have to hit start, you can just type it in and it'll show you on a map, routed out, and it shows you as a blue dot and it'll track you. So what that means, and even if you hit start, it'll still work. It won't be able to reroute if you make a wrong turn. That's the only downside, but it can still use it as maps, you can still use it as a GPS. It is a great tool to avoid using any data, and for any social media you can do that at your hostel or cafes when you're having your downtime. It forces you to engage with the world around you anyway, so it's always a good idea to not necessarily be connected all the time. Give people a chance to miss you. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. I hope these tips helped you. Honestly, I do almost every single one of them, and that's how I've been able to afford to travel to so many different places in the world. I've not been paid to go to a single one. This is all on my own back, and it's all from being a tight ass, like I've been telling you in this whole video. So tell me in the comments below if you have any tips or tricks that I'm not aware of, and give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and hit subscribe so I can see you tomorrow for my next Vlogmas video.